Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's another action-packed episode of A Work in Progress. This is something a little bit different that we're going to do because I, of course, am your host, Brent Piles, but with me this week is not the mayor of Canton. He is our pal from the UTT podcast, the Doctor Who podcast. It's my buddy, your buddy, Dan Griffin. Dan, how the heck are you, man?
I'm good, mate. It's been a long time since, and it's well overdue to have somebody on this show that's from across the pond and from the future. I'm in no way here to replace Glenn. I'm here to honour Glenn and join you in watching some shit wrestling because it's what he would have wanted. But we're diving back, a new project, and looking at some TNA. So hopefully we get some great stuff along with the ridiculous as well. How are you doing, pal?
I mean, I can't complain. We were just talking about the Premier League before we got on this podcast, and I had no game to sweat out today, so my heart rate hasn't given me a heart attack just yet. We'll have to save that till Monday. So I'm doing great. I'm doing really good.
Well, the season's over for York City, and York City won the league, so I'm happy. Still following Liverpool with the family connection there. Didn't see much of the game yesterday. I went to I had a night at the circus. Turns out I didn't need to pay for the circus because there was like 11 clowns on the pitch playing for Liverpool. But there we go. Yeah. It was a good night. The football was shocking from what I saw.
I was at work, and I got home and I forgot it was even on, and I was just kind of flipping through the channels. So I'm like, oh, well, that's probably Aston Villa. Liverpool. It's probably a good game. I flipped it on. It was 4-1. I went, ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, but it's still not as bad as the time Villa beat Liverpool 7-2. So,
yikes! Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, and I was hoping that Liverpool would win because I would maybe give Villa maybe more of an incentive to play against City next week to maybe help Arsenal. But I've come to accept the fact that we're not going to get any more help. We got the one help that we were going to get, and we just got to win from here on out.
You got more than enough help in the last match. Don't get that twisted. It's one of those things. Arsenal haven't won a league title for over about 20 years.
It's 22, yeah.
Yeah, 22 years. So it's long overdue for a club of Arsenal size. But with this sort of recurring theme over the last 5-6 years of you guys being like perpetual runners-up, it would be hilarious if you fucked it up at the final hurdle. But
maybe,
at least
maybe for you, motherfucker.
Well, yeah. But I was going to say one thing we can all agree on: it will be hilarious if Tottenham get relegated.
Yeah, that is something we all can agree on. Yeah, and I'm really, really hoping that happens because that would be. But they would have the nicest stadium in the championship, though. It would be the nicest.
It would. I've been to that stadium. It is stunning. Like as a facility, it is like second to none. It's beautiful. But yeah, to see that in the championship would just be awesome.
Yeah, it would certainly bring, and also like to see which other players, because players would leave the squad in drones if they get relegated to the champions, and that would be funny to see too.
It would.
Imagine you're Eberici Eza right now. You're going, thank God I didn't go there.
Yeah, he seems to have picked good.
It seems to have worked out a little bit better for him, at least for one season. But anyway. We didn't come here to talk about soccer. Like Dan said, this is something different. We're going to talk about some TNA. I know me and the mayor have watched a couple of the first early weekly pay-per-views, but I haven't really watched much TNA really at all, except for maybe a couple of shows. So I thought it would be fun because me and Dan kind of kicked around the idea of doing the show together for a little while. And then we kind of settled on let's do it all about TNA. So I didn't really want to start with the weekly pay-per-views because some of that is just awful.
There's a lot of horse shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's good stuff mixed in with a lot of the bad, but I just think trying to review the weekly pay-per-views one by one would just be too much of a mind-numbing experience. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, it could be, but I think it's nice as well to start with the first Impact. When they take the jump to weekly TV, they've already got 2 years under the belt, and just see what they're trying to do to differentiate and make themselves an alternative. Because they really did throw a lot of shit at the wall right throughout the run, to be fair. We're talking right up until 2018, and then, they had some peaks and valleys in there. They had some good runs that I'm aware of around about 07, 08 through to on and off throughout all this time, and then it took a nosedive when Hogan and Bischoff came in. Like I remember the dark days of watching Tigre Uno and Sonada wrestle for the X Division title week in, week out. 14 minutes of original wrestling on a 2-hour program and shit like that. And then, TNA's had its peaks and troughs in it, but it's really the little wrestling company that could. It is always there, and it's been going for 20 plus years now. So to see the sublime and the ridiculous is going to be great fun. And a lot of this early days stuff I've never seen. Like I say, I came in about 07, 08. And even then I was running 6 weeks behind because the tapings never made it over here that quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see what you make of certain things.
I would catch it every now and then because I don't know if you guys had these over where you live, but people would get these little black boxes that you would hook up to your cable thing and it would like crack it. So you would get the pay-per-views too. And so I would go over to a friend of mine's house and sometimes his dad would be watching it. But what the hell is this shit? Because around that time, I don't even think I was even watching wrestling because I was like 18 or 19 years old. So I was too busy, I don't know, fucking off and being stupid. So I wasn't really watching wrestling at that time. So I was like, what the fuck is this shit? But yeah, it's crazy to think because I don't think if you told anybody back then when they were doing weekly pay-per-views that it was going to be around longer than WCW, like, as a company held by Turner, but it has been. And that's just a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, it's insane. And all the ownership changes, all the changes in leadership within the company, from Jeff and Jerry Jarrett through the Dixie Carter years, Vince Russo lurking behind the scenes. They're bringing Jim Cornette at one point. Various booking committees and whatnot that I'll probably have to speak to Rob about to get the lowdown on in future episodes. It really has survived everything. Even being homeless for a while. Had some really dodgy TV deals. At one point, they were streaming on Twitch almost exclusively. That was the I think that was the sort of the Sami Callihan, Brian Cage, Tessa Blanchard world champion days around about 2018.
But
it's
like right before they got bought by the new place that has them now.
Anthem, who again have their faults, but it was the pandemic and the work they did there that really brought TNA back with full force. They were doing some truly entertaining stuff when it was incredibly hard to do so. They did the Wrestle House stuff, where they just leaned into the silly and they had like Rosemary transport people to this house in the undead realm.
Oh God, I didn't see that, but I wish I would have.
Oh, it was incredible. So they had a set group of people so they could be in a bubble. It was a huge house. There was a ring in the backyard, having all this drama within the house itself. And they said, right, I've got an issue with you. You've got an issue with me. Let's go have a match. And Tommy Dreamer, that was it. Dreamer would just pop up and just yell, match time. And that was it. They'd just walk to the ring for no apparent reason.
In the backyard, huh?
Yeah, just in somebody's backyard.
That's pretty fucking creative considering what's going on at the time when you can't have fans. I mean, I suppose you could have just threw up computer screens, but that's pretty innovative. Innovative. That's the word.
You got caught between innovative and inventive.
Thank you. That's why I get the British guys on the show so they can enunciate my American words.
And you picked one with one of the worst accents to do so. So well done, mate.
Well, that's the only way I want it. All right, so it's the first TNA. They got a deal on Fox Sports. It's TNA's Impact. It took place on June 4th, 2004. Obviously at the Impact Zone. I don't know how long they've been at the Impact Zone by this point, but I know they did a lot of it there. So
I actually went to an Impact taping at the Impact Zone in 2016.
No shit.
It's a surprisingly small room. I think they'd moved studios by that point. So they were down into a smaller studio anyway. It was bleacher seating and some standing on one side of the ring, a bit of standing to opposite the ramp, and then just a giant camera rig on the opposite side, on the hard cam side. I think there were a few hundred people in there for free. And
so you've probably been to indie shows with more people than that, huh?
Yeah. I think the biggest indie show I've been to had nearly 10,000 in over here. But yeah, this TNA taping was cool, but it was weird. There were actually people in iShop making signs and handing them out to kids to hold, but every sign was in the same handwriting. It was fucking.
I figure you at least get 2 or 3 people to write signs, so at least it looks like somebody didn't fucking just write it out.
Fucking,
You know what I mean?
fucking right, left-handed, put a letter backwards just so it looks like a kid did it, for fuck's sake.
Right. Make it
At
look
least,
terrible.
yeah, at least there was none of that here. The signs that there were looked genuine, from what I could see that were in the crowd.
Yeah, I didn't really see too many signs, but yeah, so they would still run the pay-per-views until September of this year too. So we get right into it though. The first match, it's Team Canada, which is Bobby Roode, Petey Williams, and Eric Young, and they've got Scott D'Amore with them. He's their captain, I suppose. And they're facing. They called them Team International. It's Amazing Red, Sanjay Dutt, and Hector Garza. So I mean, this was a good way to start the show, I thought.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just quickly before we do go into that, you said this was in 2004, and the intro graphics and the music couldn't be any more of the time. It was brilliant. I was 15 in 2004, and that I would have thought that shit was cool then. So, as old as I am now, I was proper nostalgic for it. I loved it. It actually seemed cool back then to announce it from Universal Studios as well. In later years, it kind of got like a bit swept under the rug. Like, we're live from Universal Studios, but this went full into it. And yeah, the only thing that was weird was the pyro. They tried, but it didn't quite come off. But that 6-sided ring looked awesome as you were looking at it from looking at the ramp with the ring in front, so you could see you had 2 of the points going that way across the vision. Thought that looked awesome, and then you get this opening match, which is just chock full of TNA legends and Hector Garza.
You're right about that one, because if you think of TNA, these are all names that you're going to think of, and there's Hector Garza. Yeah, it's amazing how much Hector Garza and Angel Garza that works for WWE, they look exactly alike. I know that's his uncle, but man, it's insane how much they look identical almost. Yeah,
the family resemblance is strong, and so is the athleticism as well, because as much as I just took the piss out of his, about him not being a TNA legend, Hector Garza was all over the early days of TNA, and he is really good in his own right. But this was just to set off. I mean, Petey Williams, Eric Young at the time, Amazing Red, Sanjay Dutt. That's 4 pillars of the X Division at various points in time. Sanjay Dutt was renowned for having a massive streak of not winning the X Division title. I think it was for well over a decade he chased that thing.
Wow.
Eric Young won every title in TNA, done every stupid comedy angle that they threw. He got married in his underpants in a cage.
I remember that one.
Yeah. With whom he was the Knockouts Tag Team Champions at the time.
See, I would tune into TNA every once in a while, and I just turned it on one day because it was on, and I didn't know much about Eric Young, but that was all I saw was him getting married to ODB in his underpants while they were the tag team champions, and I just went, "Oh, I don't like that guy." And then, he never rebounded for me. I was never into Sanity or anything like that. Never rebounded for me after that.
It was really weird. He ended up being TNA champion at the same time as Daniel Bryan was champion in WWE. So around about WrestleMania 30. Yeah, around about WrestleMania 30 time. And at the time, Eric Young had a big beard and whatnot, and it just felt like they were trying to copy the momentum of doing that. But Eric Young's great talent. Petey Williams, X Division through and through, inventor of the Canadian Destroyer. Bobby Roode went on to be world champion, both now producers in WWE. Scott D'Amore practically saved the company along with Anthem later on. And Amazing Red, you just have to say Amazing Red. He's that good, and he's still going today as well. And it's a great match. Everybody gets to get a bit of the shit in, the show off all the fancy moves. Team Canada actually make it a good tag match first off, isolating Red and everything like that. And one thing I will say as well, Mike Tenay and Don West, legendary commentary duo, but they did such a great job of catching people up to what was going on. What had happened in the weekly pay-per-views beforehand. I'm like, okay, now I'm going into this thinking, right, what's the story? What's that? Tenay had me caught up. Boom, done. Awesome.
Yeah, they did a really good job, and I don't think Don West really gets the credit that he should for being a very good color guy, because from what I always see of him, he's always very good. Even on the early pay-per-views when he had to deal with, it was Ed Ferrara, but he looked like Post Malone. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. He wasn't very good on commentary, but I always thought Don West did a really good job of putting everything over, and like you said, at least letting us know what was going on, because most people, this might be the first time you're ever seeing this, so you got to catch the people up on what's been going on. But yeah, I mean, definitely a good way to start the match and to start the show. I mean, and to hook people into watching this, because you get to see, the fun, fast paced stuff of the X Division, and six of the best guys in TNA history going at it. So yeah, a good first match.
Just the ending sequence. I've got the ending sequence written down. Amazing Red hits the Code Red. Eric Young hits his wheelbarrow neckbreaker. Sonjay Dutt hits his like that Hurricane Rana where you flip off the top rope, land in the powerbomb position, but then Hurricane Rana him over. And then Petey hits the Canadian Destroyer, and Hector Garza hits the twisting moonsault thing. In that 30 seconds, you've seen some of the greatest moves you'll ever see, especially in 2004.
Yeah, that's some stuff you would see nowadays. Definitely. So inventive for its time. I didn't realize this, because I just like to look up fun facts about wrestlers and matches. I didn't know that Amazing Red and Selena Vega were cousins. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Oh. Yes, and also some of these great TNA legends like Sanjay, Bobby Roode, Eric Young won worst worked match from the Wrestling Observer for the TNA Reverse Battle Royal in 2006. And Dan, I cannot wait for us to have a look at the Reverse Battle Royal. That's going to be fun.
Oh, it is. So this is where this is where people have to take Meltzer's opinion or the Observer reports with a pinch of salt. As fans, the majority of us have never been in a ring. We don't know what it takes to work a match. But the entertainment value of a Reverse Battle Royal is so high. It's so dumb. And they've only ever done 2.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked they ever did another one after the first.
So they did the first one, and then the second one was on the 20th anniversary of TNA, and it was I think it was during COVID.
Oh, so they probably did it as okay, this is supposed to be silly.
Yeah, it was. This is just a fun celebration. They brought Scott Hudson back. A bunch of legends came back. Do you remember the Demon from WCW, the Kiss Demon?
Yeah, I remember Dale Torborg. Yeah, of course.
Dale Torborg came back. Johnny Swinger came back.
Holy shit!
Oh, Johnny Swinger has his own portion of the Undead Realm.
Well, I guess I should have known that.
Mate, there's so much to get into, but yeah, I forgot the point of what we were talking about. That match was good. What did you think of the overlay with the time limit and the ticker tape of stuff that had happened beforehand?
I thought it was cool because it made it seem like a bigger thing. Because when you watch any sport, it gives you a ticker at the bottom and it kind of shows you what the highlights are from what's going on, and they were telling you everything that happened during TNA, and like we've been talking about, their first show on national television, so it's good to do that. And I like time limits. Do you think I was going to ask you this, do you think time limits work in today's wrestling scene? I think yes.
They can, yes. I'm one of the few people who really likes the speed division in WWE. It's catering to a fan base that has a shorter attention span, but it also gives a reason to have these high-paced matches that can be just flips and high-impact offense, because you are trying to just murder the other person's face and get the win as quickly as possible. That makes sense. Putting a time limit makes that style of wrestling make sense. Right. I think it's similar, and they have time limits in New Japan. So when you're watching something like the G1, which is just match after match after match, as soon as you get to that 15-minute mark and there's only 15 left, everything after that ramps up the tension. So when you see a 10-minute time limit on the screen, you're there and it gets past 5 minutes, you're right, oh shit, here we go. So I think time limits are really underutilized in wrestling as a whole. If I think back to AEW when they first came along and they were touting as a sports-based presentation. Right. And they were quite, I think they had quite a few that were time limit. I remember Cody going to time limit draws with the likes of Darby Allin and Kip Sabian. Yep. They were some of the best matches in those early days. So yeah, I think it's something wrestling needs more of. Actually have these rules. Use a time limit draw to whet the appetite. And it's an old trick. What's old is new again. Seeing time limit draws, particularly in New Japan, and again go back to the G1. A draw gives both men a point or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like draws. Yeah, it's like draws in sport. Yeah, I know it's not something that's big in America. You know, I know you're a soccer fan, so it's different for you. But in America, you're kind of averse to draws. You want a winner or a loser. But
that's the main complaint I get from people who try to tell me that, like, oh, why do you watch soccer? It's boring. It's like, it can end in a draw, which I always try to point out. Well, an NFL fucking game can end in a tie.
Hey, if you want an exciting draw, look no further than York City's final game of the season, 1-1 against Rochdale. First versus second. Yeah, anyway, I won't go into that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of time limits. FSW, is it FSW, the precursor to NXT? They had the Ironman Championship that was 15-minute time limit matches.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
William Regal in WCW, 10-minute time limits on the TV title matches.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, I think there's so much you could do with the time limit, and then it adds another finish to a match. And I know a lot of wrestling fans are, like you said, just like American sports fans, we want a conclusion. And so sometimes when you do draws or you do DQs, people get pissed off. I don't get it personally myself. I think if a match is good and the finish makes sense, I really don't fucking give a shit who wins, loses, or if it's a draw most of the time, 98% of the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some people push for that.
One last one, the NWA, when they were doing Power in the early days, their TV title had a 7-minute time limit. But if you won 7 matches in a row, so 7 successful defenses inside 7 minutes, you then got to challenge for the world title.
Yeah, see, that works.
Yeah, on an hour-long program, absolutely. And we're looking here. This whole episode was just less than 45 minutes. So when you've got a 10-minute, you have to have a 10-minute time limit on a match.
Yeah, so 10 limits, I think they do 30 for championship matches. And I think they even said that if it goes to a draw, they have a judge that renders a decision. So,
yeah, that's the only thing that's a bit weird for me, because they said all this thing about they've got a judge on site, and we don't get to know who that is until about halfway through the episode.
All right, so then they show like a clip, like a highlight clip of, they show some like highlights of the first 2 years of TNA, which they show Toby Keith singing. Do you know American country singer Toby Keith?
I know him precisely for this involvement in TNA. I couldn't name you a single song.
That's good. That's fine. Well, he's passed away now, but yeah. And then he was in the Gauntlet for the Gold match, apparently eliminating Jeff Jarrett from the match, and then
doing the Lord's work.
The Lord, yes, I know you're a big Jeff Jarrett fan.
Do you know, at this point, I'm just going to throw it out there now. I spent a long time. I couldn't tell if it was a bit or reality about hating Jeff Jarrett. I've just kind of let that go now. I know he's going to be here. I've made my peace with it. Jeff Jarrett, whatever. He's fine.
Yeah, so they showed a guy who was on Survivor, the TV show here. Are you familiar with the TV show Survivor?
Yes, we had a version in the UK as well.
I was going to say, they've got to have a Survivor UK. So Johnny Fairplay was a big Survivor player, and then he was attacked by former Chicago Bear Brian Urlacher, and I was a big Brian Urlacher fan until he started talking about politics, and not so much anymore. But anyway, the next match is Abyss, and he is going to, the poor unfortunate soul he'll be beating up this evening is the one and only Shark Boy. Everybody remembers Shark Boy, at least from WCW.
Oh, shell yeah. I fucking love Shark Boy. It's ridiculous. Somebody looked at Steve Austin and said, what about if we give him the John Tenta in WCW treatment, but make it a cartoon?
I haven't think about it like that.
Are you aware of a modern indie equivalent of Shark Boy?
No, I did not know about this.
He's a super heavyweight wrestler who has like a Shark Boy style mask, but it's kind of more like a whale, and he's called Slamu.
Is this guy in the UK or is he American?
No, I think he's American. I can't talk shit about anybody's size, but there's not many people in the UK who are as big as he is.
Okay, well I mean, we've been feeding Kentucky Fried Chicken since the day he was born, so of course he is.
Apart from me, ironically, I'll find a thing and I'll send you it over. It was just such a top tier like pun name I had to follow.
Got to check that out. That's very interesting. Did you know that that Shark Boy, whose real name is Dean Roll, sued Miramax Films, claiming that the movie Shark Boy, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, infringed upon his gimmick, and he demanded any money, profits, and advantagely wrongly gained for them. In 2007, he actually got an undisclosed settlement amount from the studio, which I thought was hilarious.
That is fucking ridiculous. I've just sent you a picture of Slamu.
Let's check this out. So yeah, so it's Abyss versus the guy. Oh my god, that's amazing. So it's Abyss.
Have you seen his t-shirt?
The guy
with the John Cena pun. You can't see me.
Can't see. It smelled like sea. The sea. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, Abyss.
So Abyss versus the guy who's 20,000 leagues underneath the sea. So Sharkboy got more offense than I thought he was going to get.
Well, he's quick. He got a little bit in, didn't he? Just going after Abyss with any strikes or kicks and just rolling away. But as soon as Abyss catches him, it's fucking over. This was Abyss like as just the monster.
Yeah.
Abyss is one of the people that when people discuss a sort of a Mount Rushmore of TNA, Abyss gets forgotten. But he's another guy that did everything that was asked of him. He was the monster. He was the guy they sent to a mental asylum. He's the guy who had Stevie Richards as his shrink. He had Father James Mitchell as his manager, and then actual father. For a little bit, he held the X Division title. He had the tag titles on his own. Of course
he did.
He was Hulk Hogan's chosen one to be the next face of the company in that era, up to and including changing his mask to black, red, and yellow. Hogan's Hall of Fame ring as well, wow. And then he was in factions like the Menagerie. I think he was in there. He had and then Decay with Rosemary and Crazy Steve. He was just great. He up to the point that WWE contacted him at some point to come in and do a WrestleMania program with The Undertaker. But he turned it down.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I just wish we'd have gotten that match. But this was a classic big man, little man squash. Shark Boy got a little bit in. The fans were behind him, but Abyss just catches him off the top. Military press. Big crush in the corner. Torture rack. Shark Boy tries to come back and eats a black hole slam for 3. And it always looks cool when a big guy hits a black hole slam.
Yeah, I mean, if a cruiserweight hits a black hole slam, it doesn't hit as hard as a big guy doing that. I was gonna say, to me, outside looking in, Abyss always kind of seemed like not like to the degree of the character, but he was kind of like their Undertaker in TNA. You know what I mean?
It was more Kane.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he definitely was more Kane. Good point, because he kind of had more of the tortured soul, and then the guy became his father, and then he fought his brother and a stepbrother in a barbed wire match. I watched that with I went on the AWIPOD podcast and I reviewed that show with him. I think it was like Against All Odds 2009 or something like that.
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. A lot of it blurs together. I just remembered something else Abyss did, and now it's gone. Oh, the when he was Chris Parks, when he was his own. It was his own brother, and he was looking for his brother Chris, Abyss. Doing all that shit. Makes sense. And he was a lawyer. At one point, he had Ethan Page with him as his cousin Chandler Park, and there were lawyers at Park and Park.
We got a lot to get into here. After the match, we saw a Popeye. You familiar with the cartoon character Popeye who would eat a spinach?
Of course, I know Popeye. We got the cartoons over here.
He was comforting the Shark Boy after the match, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, well, he's a sailor man. He's got an affinity with all the creatures of the sea.
You know what? I had put that 2 pieces of that puzzle together, so you're absolutely right.
I literally just thought of it in the last 5 seconds.
Nice work, pal. Then we get it's the NWA World Tag Team Championship match. It is the champions Dallas and Kid Kash. They're taking on America's Most Wanted. That is Chris Harris and Cowboy James Storm. I had no idea until today when I looked it up, not even watching the match, didn't realize I had no idea that Dallas was Lance Hoyt. No idea.
I was going to ask. I was going to ask because he looks so different. But yeah, him and Kid Kash, it's like Timu, Sean, and Diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. I could absolutely see that. He just is this Dallas looks like Lance Hoyt ate him and he became Lance Hoyt. You know what I mean? Like he absorbed him.
Yeah,
Because he's twice the size now.
Yeah, fucking right. But yeah, I love Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer. Is it Lance Archer in AEW at the minute?
Yeah, I think that's what he's called. Yeah.
And you could see the groundwork that he had here to become the wrestler he is today. I actually thought him and Kid Kash worked really well together. It's a great big man, little man combo. Kid Kash is just one of those guys that just never looked right with long hair. And we see another one of those later on in Kazarian. It was both of their haircuts and beards were definitely 2004.
That was some very 2000. Well, at least they were caught up with 2004 because usually wrestlers are like 5 years behind.
That's very true, yeah. And
like, I don't know if you British people know this, but fucking American people were saying yeet 5 years ago before Jay Uso started saying it. It was like, wait a minute, why are we saying yeet now? It was cool 5 years ago.
Who the fuck knows? I don't even know what people are saying over here. Never mind. Never mind what people are saying over there. What I do know though is that James Storm and Chris Harris were fucking brilliant back in the day.
A great tag team for sure. I think they said that they had already been tag team champions twice, and
yeah,
this was a good tag team match. Kid Kash and Dallas doing a lot of like tag team maneuvers. The one where Dallas sat up on the top rope and Kid Kash climbed up there and tried to do like he tried to do a moonsault off his shoulders. He missed it, but it was just even a fucking attempt that is pretty fucking crazy. So they're a fun tag team to watch. Yeah, and of course the greatness that is the America's Most Wanted. I think you could put them on the list of one of the best tag teams of TNA history. It's too bad that Chris Harris went to WWE, became Braden Walker, and that never worked out.
Oh yeah, the greatest hits of Braden Walker 3 DVD box set that lasts 2 minutes. Another thing that stood out to me in this was Mike Tenay revealed a couple of things, saying that a loss is a loss in TNA at this point. So even if the champions get DQ'd, the belts change hands, which I love it. Yeah. It's just a logic thing. If you're having a problem with DQs, make all DQs matter. Have them be able to lose the title. He also did a great job of talking up the shape of the ring as pertains to tag team wrestling, that they're not able to cut off the ring as easy as they would in a four-sided ring and things like that, and talking about points of impact and basically everything that we already know, that it's a stiff ring to work in. Just really made it feel like a much bigger occasion.
But yeah, you can always count on Mike Tenay to paint a good picture of the story that you need on the screen. I think he's one of the best in the history of wrestling when it comes to that. So we talked about Dallas trying to hit that moonsault off the shoulders. He missed, which led to a hot tag to Chris Harris, and lots of stuff happened. You got the finish of this match written down. I didn't write it all down. I know the America's Most Wanted wins the match, becomes tag team champions.
Yeah, I've got the finish. Dallas hit the blackout. Kash hit the frog splash, and I think that was on James Storm. Harris then hits a spear on Kash. Dallas hits the big boot on Harris. Storm low-bridged Dallas, or something. Did something off the ropes, and Harris rolled Dallas up for the 3. That was it. Fast-paced finish, big moves. Yeah, and the AMW go on to the pay-per-view on Wednesday to defend the titles.
Yeah, apparently there's going to be a fan vote. It's like some Cyber Sunday shit, and the fan voters are going to win. And I looked ahead. John it says Glenn Gilberti. It says Glenn Gilberti won the poll, so I'm going to call bullshit because nobody voted for that fucking guy.
No, they voted to see him get the shit kicked out of him.
That could be it. Yeah, maybe that's the one. You're right. I didn't think of that.
It's the only time Disco was a draw.
That's one when you want to see him get punched in the face. We then see a guy walking toward the ring. They tell us that he's going to be the judge for any matches that go to a draw. And I could tell by the cowboy boots, it's Dusty fucking Rhodes. But it's just weird, like you said, that they decided to introduce this to us in the middle of the show. Well, not even at the middle, it's toward the end because we've only got one more match left. And it's like, oh, well, here's the mysterious judge who's finally showed up to the building. Thank God none of the other matches ended in a draw, or we'd had to wait longer for it.
Yeah, it was weird. I get wanting to start hot with the match, but they could have at least said Dusty Rhodes is watching. You know, Dusty Rhodes is watching in the back or something like that, just to hype people up and then bring him out. But it was great to see Dusty. The crowd were into it. The crowd loved him, and even when he stumbled a little bit on his promo, his energy was exactly what you wanted. They were spot on, and he's name dropping some champions: Luthez, Buddy Rogers, Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, Terry Funk, and then he says the truth, which is obviously Ron Killings and AJ Styles, and talk shit about Jarrett, and then we get the bree-woo.
That might be some of the besides Right to Censor. That might be some of the most annoying entrance music ever. Is that Jeff Jarrett entrance music? It is awful,
and it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, it's the worst.
See, I've watched so much TNA that I don't mind it. I'm kind of Stockholm syndrome into not noticing it anymore.
I guess
what did you make of all this?
I hope to get there one day.
Yeah. What did you make to all this? Because obviously they're building to something at the pay-per-view. I thought it was a fine enough promo segment between Jarrett and Dusty. They're two pros. They know what they're doing. We got a bit of Dusty, shake, rattle, and rolling and all of that. So I was pretty happy with it.
The fans were super into it. I think this is when the people were probably the loudest, was during this entire thing. And I thought Jeff Jarrett said some funny stuff. Like he said, "Do you need money?" I mean, he's like, "I'll give you $50." I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
When he said that. He tells Dusty to leave. He's going to take 5 paces because they're going to do this like an old Western showdown. He referenced, I think, John Wayne or something. I'm going to turn around and take 5 paces. When I turn around, you better be gone. And of course, when he turns around, Dusty starts beating him up. He then gets the better of Dusty. Then Ron Killings comes down to try to make the saves. He's going to hit him with the guitar, but then Killings ends up getting hit with the guitar. And then BG James, or the Road Dogg, as people may know him, and Conan run out. I think 3 Live Crew was the name of their crew, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
So they come out, they try to make the save. Jarrett, of course, runs out, and BG James basically tells Jarrett at the pay-per-view that he's going to have to answer for what he did. So they're definitely building somebody to the pay-per-view. And yeah, I thought it was a good segment. Always good to see Dusty Rhodes, and the crowd was super into it. So you can't say anything about that.
Yeah, and I think crucially as well, you need to have the champion on your show. It's your first weekly show. Even if he's not wrestling, you need the champ on TV.
Yeah, you got to establish that this is the main guy, absolutely. And then you need to put him out there and you essentially get him into an angle with Dusty Rhodes, and that's a good way to hook people in to buy your pay-per-view, which is exactly what this TV show isn't to get ratings or anything. The only thing they're trying to do with this is to get people to buy the pay-per-views, which they did a good job of promoting that right there. So we then see Shane Douglas, who apparently does a backstage interviewer here in TNA.
So weird.
I had to like rewind it because I was like, did he say correspondent Shane Douglas? I thought it was some other Shane Douglas, but nope, it's fucking Shane Douglas.
I don't know if Shane Douglas was injured at the time or what, but when you've got a wrestler the caliber of Shane Douglas, you don't waste him as a backstage interviewer. It's just fucking strange.
Yeah, it was really weird. So he's talking to Vince Russo, and they want to know who's going to be the final contestant in this 4-way number 1 contenders X Division match. And Russo basically word salads us and tells us nothing, and he says, "You'll see." But
yeah, that was a whole lot of fuck. Yeah, it was a whole lot of fuck all, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big ass waste of time. Like they could have just been like, "And the mystery person," and brought out AJ Styles. I don't know why we needed the interview. It was just the only thing that would make me go, "Why the fuck is Shane Douglas conducting interviews?" That's all that did for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look before we next record and see what the crack was with that, because Shane Douglas, you and Mary are watching some 2000 WCW at the minute. Me and Rob, back on when we did UTT, we watched a fuckload of 2000s WCW doing the Tank Abbott stuff. Shane Douglas was fucking awesome. He really was. So yeah, I don't know why he's just a backstage interviewer. It's just weird. I did quite like the X Division promo video that they had before that. That was pretty good with Jerry Lynn, Scott Hudson, Borash, and Tenay, with all the match clips going on. That was a nice way to set the stall for the 4-way that was coming up, which is 4 wrestlers whose surnames all begin with S. Skipper versus Sabin versus Shane versus Styles.
Hadn't put that together either, but you're absolutely right.
Should be the S division.
I guess fucking so. It should be that. It was funny. Me and the mayor were getting into the 2000 WCW the other day, and everybody coming out, their alliteration was BB. That was fucking.
Yeah.
You know, and we were like, "What the fuck?" And then this, it's everybody ends with an S. So
it was BS.
It was a bunch of BS. Yeah. On paper, you look at this and you think it's going to be a pretty good match, but for me. And don't get me wrong, we saw some cool stuff in this match, but for me, it just felt like a bunch of guys doing moves. There was no pace to it, no storytelling. It was just move after. Once they did one move, they were just setting up the next move, and like that's all that it was. So it's hard for me to even get into it.
And that was very much the style of the time. To be honest, the X Division was I don't want to say finding its feet because it's been around a little while. But it very much was one of the pioneers of that incredibly fast-paced, do the cool moves, do the fun shit, see how we go, entertain.
Yeah.
Because on one level, it is incredibly entertaining. You know, and Chris Sabin hits possibly the cleanest springboard dropkick I've ever seen and the cleanest springboard tornado DDT. Like, from a physical standpoint, what these guys are doing is very similar to what I was watching at the circus last night. Like the agility and the body control and the flexibility and the strength is off the charts. Like you say, as a wrestling match, it might leave something to be desired, but if you just want to watch people being able to do cool shit and seeing how various combinations of guys work together, then it's fine. But I think Styles and Sabin, everything they did was levels above, especially when the brief periods where they were in there together. They really stood out for me. Although Michael Shane had a really cool like fisherman impaler DDT thing, but again, it was just a cool move.
So Michael Shane was trained by Shawn Michaels, correct?
They said on commentary he's his cousin.
Oh fuck, man! I did read online that he was like one of the first guys who graduated from Shawn Michaels, like that Texas Wrestling Academy. That I think Brian Kendrick and Brian Danielson went through too.
Yep, yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, I don't know if he was his actual cousin or just billed that way. We didn't see enough of Elix Skipper in this match. I don't think he got to do a few bits, but there's so much more to come of him in TNA. Yeah, like I say, it's an entertaining showpiece, I think is the nicest way to put it, without being the best wrestling match.
I think that's a fair way to put it. And it's most of the time Fatal 4-Ways are usually not my taste, so it's not to my surprise that I wasn't really 100% into this match. Like if you give me Chris Sabin versus AJ Styles and it's 100 miles an hour a minute, it'll be fine with me. When you throw four guys together, it's kind of like a fucking blender for me, and so it just kind of all runs together. But AJ Styles gets the win. That was a really cool ending though, where he does the sunset flip and then he turns it into a Styles clash on Michael Shane for the win. And now he'll face long-haired Kazarian at the weekly pay-per-view for the TNA Championship. Chris Sabin too was super jacked here. At first, I didn't even recognize him. Yeah,
but Kazarian's very much in that camp of guys who look weird with long hair. Kaz is another guy who looks better now than he did back then. But yeah, Sabin was beefed up for sure. I'm hoping that both the Motor City Machine Guns land back in TNA after the release from WWE. I'd love to see them come back. But I think what this did well, this episode, was open hot, and it ended hot. As much as we can sort of, it's not to either of our taste really. I think for a 2004 audience, starting and ending with matches like that, having the squash match and the tag match, the title change in between, that's a really good hour of TV, especially with the Dusty Rhodes stuff as well. I think this is a really strong opening episode of Impact. Like I say, even if the main event isn't to our tastes.
I mean, I say this all the time, but I watch some wrestling shows and it just feels like a drag. It just feels like it drags on and on. And this this is very easy watch, very easy to sit down and watch this. I never got bored of what was going on. So yeah, I thought it was a really well paced show, and definitely a good way to kick off your network sort of TV debut for them. So we'll see where it goes from here. I'm not really exactly sure. I guess we can discuss. I mean, you are here right now. What do you think? Where do you think we should go next with this? Should we watch some more of these impacts?
Yeah, I'm happy to carry on doing Impact. I want to see, we could watch. I want to see the next Impact because I don't think I've ever watched episode 2. I've watched this before. Me and Rob covered it on UTT with it being the first and last.
Oh, that makes sense. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I didn't think of that until yesterday, and I still forgot to dig out of my notes.
Yeah,
I could have saved myself so much time.
We had to watch it.
Yeah. No, I'd like. We're gonna play. I think we're gonna play a little sort of loosey goosey with this, aren't we? On where we go and what we're looking into. But I'd quite happily watch the next two to 3 episodes. Watch a month of TV.
Yeah.
And see how we feel about TNA a month in.
And see, we only planned on doing this thing once a month. So I figure like you said, we could watch 2 or 3 episodes, and then we could pick things out of those episodes, maybe something that you really liked or something that you thought could have been done better, or just something that you thought was plain terrible. And I've spoken to you about this. We do watch alongs on the show with me and the mayor. If we get to anything particularly absolutely terrible, we will absolutely watch it together. And I think that'll be a lot of fun.
And I think we should draft the mayor in without context.
Yeah, we'll just bring him in and not tell him what's happening. That's the best part. That's the best thing about 2000 WCW because I know what's going on, but he doesn't know. And do you think I wrote fill him in? No, I don't know what's happening.
No. Fuck no. You don't tell him shit. We just sit the mayor down, have him watch some crap, and see if he's entertained. He's our guinea pig.
That's good. I like that idea. That's a great idea. So, yeah. So tune in. We're going to do this monthly, and next time you see us, we're going to talk about the next 3 weekly episodes of Impact. So this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we're doing this. Glad we're digging into some TNA. Dan, what do you need to plug?
Most of the time, my big fat mouth, because I talk too much. But that's how podcasting works.
Same.
If you want to follow me on social media, Dan Griffin 21 across. I'm primarily on Instagram and still on that hellscape known as Twitter or X or Twix, whatever the fuck it's called this week. I'll talk to anybody about anything, but if you come and talking wrestling, brilliant. If you want to hear more of me talking about stuff wrestling-wise, Unbooking the Territory, as I mentioned before, first and last of wrestling, a shitload to do with the Attitude Era, all sorts of side projects. We don't put out episodes anymore. Rob's busy off being a daddy. But the back catalogue's there. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out. Head on over to SJP World Media for myself and Cy Powell on the Doctor Who pod, which is a podcast about Doctor Who, funnily enough. Didn't take a genius to work that one out. And over there,
it's a Star Wars podcast, actually.
Yeah. We cover Star Trek, Star Wars, and Battlestar Galactica.
Anything with Star in it.
Yeah. Even the reviews of classic Mario games, just because they have the little stars that you collect.
Dancing with the Stars, all that shit. Sorry.
I won't go that far. And on there as well, on occasion, myself and my strike partner, Matt Lewis, we do alternate commentaries for football matches. As it stands at the minute, we're looking to do something on the last day of the Premier League on 24th of May. So come and join us on YouTube there, and we'll talk some shit and make the football or the soccer all about what we're going to eat at halftime, which is usually some form of pie.
Yeah, it's pie. Yeah, it's absolutely pie. And I would join you, Mayor. I would join you, Dan, but I'll be busy watching the Arsenal match like this through my fucking fingers like a goddamn horror movie, unless they win 4-0. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's it there. I usually plug all Dan's stuff, so I don't have to plug anything this week. But make sure you check out the weekly shows with me and the mayor. Right now, we're ripping through some 2000 WCW. We just witnessed David Arquette become the WCW World Champion, and we're on our road to Slamboree 2000. So make sure you check that out. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. It's at AWIPod. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I posted something early on there about us doing the show, and I got a comment from one UTT Rob that said, awesome. So we can expect Rob to let us know all the questions that we got wrong in the comments on YouTube, and I can't wait. because I haven't heard from Rob on YouTube in a while, and I missed the conversation with Rob on YouTube. But that's always fun. But that does it for us here this week, and we will catch you down the road.
Hell yeah.